What's up everyone, I'm Calamontoast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a triple shiny electric and bug theme team in the Open Great League. We just had Grubbin Community Day, so Charjabug and Vikavolt now have access to Volt Switch, and I wasn't initially going to make a video since basically every other content creator has already featured it, but shout out to Yonkus who suggested in one of his videos that I run them both alongside Galvantula in the same team. Now obviously there are going to be a ton of threats to this team, and Pokemon I have literally no chance in beating, but despite that I still went positive in 4 out of 5 sets I played with the team, so as long as you're not seeing a ton of Bastiodon and Carbink, this team can actually put in work. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What's your favourite bug type Pokemon in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, lead Galvantula into Medicham, probably the most common lead in the Open Great League right now, and what I love to do here is swap one turn before they make it to the Ice Punch, so I'm able to catch the move on my bulkier Charjabug, but also get a full Volt Switch in for free, and that's absolutely massive. Now here the opponent does throw not the best timing, not the worst timing either. They go for the Body Slam, we do live that, and now I can spam these X-Scissors incredibly fast. We go for the first one, doesn't do too much damage, but with the Volt Switches, it is really starting to add up. We go for the second one, it gets them into the red health, and we make it to a third X-Scissor, and that's all because I got the free Volt Switch in as I swapped into the Medicham. Now we grab the shield there, we did also bank a Cross Poison, so I can go for it straight away, taking out the Lickitung, and the opponent comes back in with their Medicham, so I'm going to do the exact same thing once again, swap, get the Volt Switch in for free. This time I will shield up because Vikavolt is a lot glassier, and the opponent comes in with their Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and because I got that Volt Switch in, I will outpace them to 2 charge moves, or at least get there at the same time, but we would win the CMP tie. The opponent, as a result, lets the first one go through, we take them out there with the Volt Switch farm down, and now we can go straight X-Scissor in this matchup. The first one will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, we make it to the second one, this is going to do a ton of damage to the Medicham, it'll get them incredibly low, and I snipe with my Galvantula. Once again, I had the Cross Poison loaded, but it didn't matter. We take out the Medicham, and we take that game. Into next game, we see a Shadow Alolan Sandslash in the lead, so we're going to do the exact same thing here. Try to swap, catch the Ice Punch, and get the full Volt Switch in for free. Now, if the opponent wants to stay in this matchup, I will outpace them, but instead, they come in with a Skeledirge. Now, this is not great for a triple bug theme team, but we do have Crunch, and the opponent lets it go through. That's absolutely massive for me, and then we live with 1 HP and a Dream. We make it to the X-Scissor. Doesn't really matter which one we throw there, because they are low enough where an X-Scissor would take them out. Now, once again, we did bank that Cross Poison, so we can win the CMP tie up against the Skeledirge, grabbing the shield from the opponent. Now they do have 2 Disarming Voices, so I expect they're going to throw one here, which we do survive. They then swap back into their Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and they make it to a charge move here. I'm going to shield this up, and I think I will overfarm by 1 Volt Switch here. And no, actually overfarming by 2, going for the X-Scissor. This should now be in range where resisted X-Scissor takes them out. And what do they have in the back? They've got a Azumarill, so we can go for 2 Volt Switches before throwing a Discharge. That is the correct timing up against their 3-turn move. Now here I'm expecting the opponent to swap back into their Skeledirge and go for a snipe after they grab my final shield. So I'm going to go for the X-Scissor here, winning the CMP tie. This will be taking out the Skeledirge, and now I just have to make it to a Discharge. Actually, could have probably just farmed it down there, but we go for the Discharge anyways, and we take out the Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Galvantula into Pelipper. Now, we're actually not running Volt Switch, but the opponent is probably going to swap out, and they swap into Deoxys. A bit unfortunate that we're not running Lunge here, but it doesn't really matter too much. The opponent goes straight for a Psycho Boost here, so I'm going to let that go through. I go for a Cross Poison. I don't really know why I go for the Cross Poison here, honestly, but I'm going to swap and catch the next move, and once again, we get the Volt Switch in for free. This, I've got to say, I absolutely loved doing that, and here you're going to see that throwing the Cross Poison probably was a mistake because we don't quite put them into range where we can farm them down here. Otherwise, I would have to tank yet another Psycho Boost, and whilst they are quad debuffed, I don't really want to tank that next move here, and the opponent comes in with their Pelipper, and then they go and catch the move onto Venusaur, so nice play by the opponent. but it just doesn't really help them here. We can go for an X-Scissor into the Venusaur. It's not going to do too much damage, but they will actually use a shield, so we swap straight away back into the Galvantula. Don't want them to get any extra farm than they need to, and here the opponent's going to throw just before we make it to the next Cross Poison. Absolutely fine with me. It takes us out with the Frenzy Plant. We're going to come back in with the Charger Bug, just force the opponent to throw their energy, and we do lose a CMP tie, but we don't care. We've got Vikavolt in the back with 2 shields. It's going to be game over for the opponent, but they're still not going to give up just yet. They're putting up a fight. They're going to go for the Weather Ball, and unless they've somehow got 2 extra Weather Balls loaded, which they literally couldn't have, then we will be able to take them out with the Volt Switch. Volt Switch, farm down the Venusaur, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, and if you were wondering, what do we do up against Carbink? Well, short story is we lose, but we are going to play it out anyways, just to see how close we can get. We're going to go for the Energy Ball, and you'll see Energy Ball does some okay damage, but Carbink is incredibly bulky. So we swap into Charger Bug. They would have fully Rock Throw farm us down there, so we don't really want to give them any extra energy, as the Fury Cutters were resisted. They were doing very little damage. We go for the X-Scissor. We actually grab a shield there, which is almost better because, I mean, X-Scissor wouldn't have taken them out there, and we have to let the move go through, otherwise they would probably just shield the next move and fully farm us down. So we come in with the Vikavolt here, and I'm hoping they just let this move go through. Please let the Carbink go down. I want to see what you've got in the back, and they do let it go through. They come in with a Lantern, and this is not looking too good for us. We go for the charge move on the CMP tie, throwing straight away. Honestly, probably could have played for the extra Volt Switch there, as I've really got to capitalize on any mistakes from my opponent. They now come in with Drapion, and we've only got resisted charge moves. There's no point in throwing. The opponent goes for an Aqua Tail. It takes me out, and this will be a very comfortable win for the opponent here, as yeah, there was just not a lot we could have done up against that Carbink lead, but luckily I think I only saw 2 of them in my 5 sets. I only saw 1 Bastiodon and 1 Galarian Stunfisk as well, and 0 Steelix, so I actually got very lucky with the sort of teams that I was facing. But I guess I was seeing a lot of Medicham in the lead, which was quite comfortable for me. But here we go for the Energy Ball, and once again we swap, we catch the move, and we get the Volt Switch in for free. So I just love doing that, like literally every single time. But the unfortunate thing about running Energy Ball in the lead is that I didn't really see a lot of opponents swapping out of bad matchups and into like a Swampert or like their Diggersby, but now they come in and they respond with their Diggersby as I bring the Charger Bug, and because I've already revealed the Energy Ball, it's just not that great for me. They go for a Fire Punch. I think they might have undercharged that, or it just doesn't do that much damage, but it's very good for them, as now they come out with a ton of loaded energy. They go for another Fire Punch, and we will go for a Cross Poison here, hoping to grab a shield from the opponent. And we do grab that shield, so we're going to swap into the Vikavolt now, and the opponent's going to go for a charge move. We're going to shield it up. They've got quite a lot of energy. They actually go for the Scorching Sands there, and they get the attack drop, which is not ideal for me, because now I will have to land 2 X-Scissors. Well, I mean, I have to land 2 X-Scissors to take them out anyways, but we might put them into range where we could fully Volt Switch farm them down. But yeah, they go for the Moonblast. Luckily, no attack debuff this time around, and we do make it to the back-to-back X-Scissors here. The first one will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. They are very close to the next Moonblast, so I'm going to go for the next X-Scissor straight away, taking them out, and we do barely outpace this Diggersby to the next charge move. X-Scissor will be enough damage to take them out there, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Medicham in the lead, so we are probably going to play this exactly the same here. Go for the swap, try to make the catch, but the opponent actually doesn't throw straight away, and I've got to be honest here, I wasn't paying too close attention to these battles. I was watching the Sheffield United versus Newcastle game, which ended up being 8-0, so there were quite a lot of goals. I was a bit distracted, and that was a massive mistake. I literally, I just lost track of their energy, and I threw away so much energy of my own because I thought, I don't want to shield a power-up punch, but I've kind of just thrown this game away, and you're going to see with their backline, we could have very easily beat them here if we just played a little bit better than that. So we are going to let this move go through, put it all on the Vikavolt to sweep in the end game. We've seen a lot of Medicham with like maybe a Dugong or Greninja in the back, so I'm hoping it is the Greninja, but honestly, because I threw away so much energy in that lead matchup there, this Greninja will actually be able to make it to 2 charge moves to take me out before I get the Volt Switch farm down, or make it to 3 X-Scissors. So I'm going to shield the first one, hoping that for whatever reason they're not quite there yet, but they are at the back-to-back Night Slashes. First one grabs my shield, second one takes out the Vikavolt, and we do lose that game. So GG's to that opponent. Definitely should have just paid more attention there, but it is what it is. Into the next game, we see the opponent safe swapping into their Umbreon. We're going to go for the Cross Poison here on the CMP tie. If I get a boost, I will stay in this matchup, but I don't get that boost. So I'm going to let this move go through and probably once again try to catch the move and get a full Volt Switch in for free. And we do exactly that. So I just love using 1-turn fast moves and then either a 4 or 5-turn fast move on my safe swap, because it just means that I can do that play almost every single time, because it's just so easy to swap 1 turn before they make it to the charge move. Now here they make it to another foul play. I'm going to let that go through. I will overfarm, go for 2 Volt Switches here, go for the X-Scissor, and X-Scissor will be enough damage to take them out, so they let it go through. They come back in with the Venusaur. We're going to go for an X-Scissor, and I don't want to give them any extra farm, because even though I do resist Frenzy Plant on all my Pokemon, it still does a lot of damage. So we come in with the Galvantula, we go for the Cross Poison, they actually do live that there, and they once again throw just before we make it to the next move. I don't know what they've got in the back, so I'm going to use my shield, and they've got a Azumarill in the back, so we can go for a Cross Poison here. It's safer than going for Energy Ball, because if they do shield it, like they do there, I will make it to a second Cross Poison, and it's not going to do too much damage. It is super effective, but it is non-stab. It's only a 35 energy move, but what it does do is allow me to take them out with 1 discharge from this range. The opponent recognizing that, so they do concede the match. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Nidoqueen in the lead, and this is a Pokemon I haven't really seen an awful lot of recently, but this thing absolutely destroys my entire team, so it's not looking too good for us, but hopefully we can land the Energy Ball, and somehow, I'm hoping maybe we get the debuff here. We go for the Energy Ball, it does land, it does nice damage, but we have to swap into our Charge Bug there, and they come in with a Unnovan Stunfisk, and I'm just like, what the heck? Obviously, I should have just gone for X-Scissor there. I don't know why I went for Crunch. That was a weird play. Maybe fishing for the debuff. I don't know. But we're now going to go for the X-Scissor here. And you will see that, actually, if I went straight X-Scissor in this matchup, I would actually be able to take out the Stunfisk here. As the opponent goes for another Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb doesn't quite take us out. We do resist the Thunder Shock damage, so we make it to another X-Scissor. And X-Scissor barely doesn't take them out there. I mean, maybe if I went X-Scissor with that first move, they still would have lived with like 1 HP, but unfortunately we don't there. And they go for the Poison Fang. We don't quite make it to the Cross Poison. Everything is going bad for us right here. They make it to another charge move. We don't quite get the Volt Switch farm down. And they've got a Azumarill in the back, so they've got 2 shields here. If they had maybe 1 shield, maybe we'd be okay. Probably still not, because Volt Switch and Discharge still doesn't quite do enough damage here. We go for the second one. Discharge grabs the final shield. But yeah, the Azumarill has a charge move loaded. Ice Beam will be enough damage to take us out there. And we do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Sableye in the lead. I'm going to swap out straight away. I think this was my first battle with this team, and the opponent responds with a Skarmory, which is a really weird swap from the opponent, but they are very likely very weak to the electric typing in the back if this is their response. So I'm going to let this move go through. I don't really care. We've got 3 electric type Pokemon in the back, so it doesn't really matter what order they are aligned to. Going to go for that Crunch, and Crunch barely doesn't take them out actually. And they do get the farm down, but they're in range where I can Fury Cutter farm them down before an Air Slash registers. Now they come back in with Sableye, we swap into a Vikavolt here, and I'm going to use a shield. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They are going to swap into their Azumarill. So there you have it. That is why they swapped into Skarmory. They just don't have any responses to these electric and bug type Pokemon. And from this range, I can safely shield once, fully farm them down, and come out with 2 X-Scissors loaded. And whilst X-Scissor is only neutral damage up against the Sableye, it's still going to do a ton of damage here. So we're going to go for the first one. This should be grabbing the first shield, or the final shield, sorry, from the Sableye. And the second X-Scissor will be enough damage here. Actually, no, it doesn't quite take them out. What am I talking about? But we can come in with the Galvantula, and they go for the foul play. I'm going to go for the Fury Cutter farm down, but then I thought, actually, it's getting kind of close. Let's just go for that Cross Poison, and Cross Poison takes out the Sableye, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Medicham in the lead. So once again, going to try and make that catch. And once again, we do successfully pull off the catch and get the full Volt Switch in for free. They go for the Ice Punch straight away, and now because of that Volt Switch going in, we can get to a crunch before they make it to an Ice Punch on their Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Now I'm going to let this move go through. Ice Punch barely won't take us out here, but they will be able to fully farm us down. But that's absolutely fine with me. We can come in with the Vikavolt, go for the Volt Switch farm down, shield once, and I will come out with a Discharge and an X-Scissor loaded. So let's see what the opponent wants to do. They are going to wait out the Switch Clock here and then come in with a Medicham once again, so we can farm to the back-to-back X-Scissors. Going to go for the first one here, and this will do some nice damage to the Medicham. It actually grabs the shield, so we go for the second one straight away, and the opponent is going to let the second one go through, and at this point we should be able to fully Volt Switch farm them down from this range. They go for an Ice Punch here, and the opponent is going to, we actually swap there, we snipe them with the Fury Cutters, because Volt Switch is just too slow of a move to get that full farm down there, and they've got a Dugong in the back. Now this is looking good for us. We make it to the Energy Ball, dealing big damage, and we make it to a Cross Poison to grab the final shield from the opponent, and we have a Discharge loaded on the Vikavolt, so we can easily let this go through, go straight for the Discharge. I actually waited a turn there just because I couldn't remember which side the charge move was on, but we're able to take out the Dugong and take that game. And into the next game, this trainer actually messaged me saying that as soon as they saw Galvantula in the lead, they knew my entire team because they knew that I was Calamon Toast and that I run a lot of theme teams like this. So this makes it a lot harder for me because the opponent knows exactly what I'm going to do basically here. As we go for a crunch, they did shield up the Energy Ball, which I feel like most people wouldn't have done, but because they knew my team, they realized that Galvantula likely had more coverage on it because we had two more electric and bug type Pokemon in the back. And here they actually play it very smart, going for Aerial Ace initially. I realized I could live another Aerial Ace, but they then send the Dig there, which doesn't quite take me out, but they get the full farm down, and now they've got the Shadow Alolan Ninetales. This is not looking too good for us. We go for the Discharge, grabbing the shield from the opponent. I'm hoping I can outpace them to the Cross Poison, but I'm barely not able to do so. They get my final shield with the Weather Ball. We need to land this Cross Poison here. We go for it, and it does some big damage. It barely doesn't take them out, but we get the Fury Cutter farm down, and even though they've got Medicham in the back, we're not going to be able to deal enough damage here, so I actually just don't throw any energy whatsoever. The opponent makes it to a charge move. Psychic will be taking out the Vikavolt very easily from that range, and we do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Umbreon in the lead, so we are going to stay in this lead matchup. We tried to swap and make the catch once again, but the opponent does overfarm in this matchup. Fine with me, they go for a foul play, doesn't do too much damage, and now they swap into their Medicham, so they clearly don't have a great response to the Charger Bug here, which is quite good for me, but at the same time, I don't really need to shield this up because I've got 3 Charger Bug, essentially. They actually go for a bait with a power-up punch. Absolutely fine with me. We go for the X-Scissor here, and if they go for another Power Punch, I should be able to fully farm them down from this range, but actually it might be close, so I swap into my Vikavolt, and we do come in there. We get the snipe, and they come back in with the Umbreon. Now, Vikavolt is glassy. I'm going to shield the first charge move here. I actually don't have a clue what its attack stat is in relation to like Galvantula, so I don't know which one is more glassy, but we go for the X-Scissor here, grabbing the shield, and we've got the back-to-back loaded, so we're going to go for the second one straight away, making sure we get it off before they get to the foul play. And at this point, I'm going to let the move go through, and a last resort actually doesn't quite take us out there, but they get the Snarl farm down. So good matchup awareness there from the opponent. Foul play probably wouldn't quite have allowed them to do that, so good play there. But we come in with the Galvantula, we go for the Cross Poison, taking out the Umbreon, and they've got a Azumarill in the back. Now, we're just going to play it safe here, go for the Cross Poison bait, and the opponent is going to shield the first move, so now we can go for the Energy Ball, and this will do a lot more damage to this Azumarill. And it does big damage there. It puts them into basically Volt Switch farm down range, but we can go for an X-Scissor anyways. X-Scissor is resisted damage, but one more Volt Switch will take out the Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Galvantula into yet another Medicham. Sorry if these games are feeling a bit repetitive, but this is just what I was seeing a lot of the time. And once again, do the exact same thing. We go for the swap, get the Volt Switch in for free, and the opponent this time staying in this matchup. Fine with me, we're going to go for an X-Scissor here, and the opponent, if they do farm to the Psychic, I will actually expend a shield on my Charger Bug here. So we're going to go for that shield, and the opponent does full send the Psychic, so that is good for me. Now I can overfarm in this matchup, go for another X-Scissor, and this will be enough damage to easily take out the Medicham from this range. They come in with a Lantern, so I'm going to go for the X-Scissor once again. And if they do overfarm, this might be a little bit problematic though. So here we go for the next X-Scissor, and we do reach it in time. And this X-Scissor will actually grab a shield from the Lantern. I don't want them to farm me down here. I probably stayed in a bit too long there. But we come in with the Galvantula. I have to let this move go through. They go for the Surf. We make it to the Energy Ball, and this will be enough damage to easily take out the Lantern from this range. But they've got a knocked out in the back, and they're going to get a massive farm down here. And even though we've got 3 electric type Pokemon, we are also part bug type, so the Sky attacks, the Wing attacks, they will be neutral damage here. So we are going to wait out the switch clock, come in with the Vikavolt. We need to make a catch at some point in this game, but it's very difficult to do so when you're running Volt Switch, because it's very easy for the opponent to throw in between the moves. But here the opponent went for a Shadow Ball, so I actually over-farmed there. And they go for another Shadow Ball, so I'm not sure if they aren't running Sky Attack or they just thought they needed to go for Shadow Ball to take me out, but it actually played in my favour because it made it a lot easier to make that catch. But GG's to that opponent there. And into the next game, this is a bit of a mistake here. I thought I'd make it to the Energy Ball in time because they swapped out, but they actually get there like one turn before me. So I'm now going to go for the Energy Ball, and this will do a ton of damage to the Sableye. And then I'm going to swap and once again make the catch, get the Volt Switch in for free. Doesn't really make too much of a difference in this scenario because we get the farm down before they make it to another charge move. But the opponent comes in with a Medicham, and this is looking great for us. We can go for the X-Scissor, and this will do a nice amount of damage. We've seen it already. We actually grab a shield there, and we CMP tie them, so that's fine with me. I should barely live an Ice Punch from this range, and I do exactly that. So now I go for the second X-Scissor. X-Scissor gets the Medicham into the yellow health. Now, we are going to wait out the switch clock here and then come in with the Vikavolt, and we should be able to go for an X-Scissor. We actually overfarm here, expecting the opponent to throw straight away, but they don't. They go for the Ice Punch bait, and then they swap back into their Azumarill. So we've got back-to-back discharges loaded. Gonna go for the first one here, and then I will be able to overfarm by one more Volt Switch. I don't know why I'm baiting with an X-Scissor here. This is such a dumb play because the opponent actually lets it go through. Then we swap. We try to snipe with Galvantula, but then I thought actually we might be in range where Medicham can fully counter farm me down. So actually I undercharged that. They go for a play rough, and now I get the farm down with my Vikavolt, and I'm thinking I can probably just Volt Switch, farm down the Medicham, but no, they had more energy than I thought, and I have completely thrown this game. This is probably one of the worst played games I've ever had. But GG's to my opponent there. They probably thought it was over, but that's why you should stay into matches like that and hope that the opponent does throw the game like I did in that battle. And here, this is one of my first battles, so I didn't make the Fury Cutter play and then swap trying to catch the Volt, or trying to get the Volt Switch in for free. But here, we're going to go for that Crunch, and the opponent is going to shield up the Crunch, and at this point, they are going to swap into a Shadow Dragonair. We go for another Crunch here, and Crunch doesn't get the debuff, so it would have been better to go for the X-Scissor, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. We are going to wait out the switch clock, come in with our Galvantula. I'm hoping that we might be able to Fury Cutter farm them all the way down if we do shield once. They go for the Body Slam. Can we get the farm down? It's risky, but we barely get the farm down, and we come out with very little health, but a lot of energy, so let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with the Sandslash, so we're going to swap into our Vikavolt. We catch the move here, and the opponent is already at another charge move. I didn't realize they had so much energy here, and Drooron does a ton of damage. We're going to go for the discharge. This needs to land to take them out, and the opponent does let it go through, but once again, they've got Medicham in the back. It's not looking too good for us. We have so much solid energy. I need to get a boost here, but we don't get the boost. I'm going to full send the Energy Ball straight away anyways, but Energy Ball will not be enough damage to take them out, and they're able to fully counter, farm me down, and take that game. But into what I believe is the final battle of this video, we lead into a Dugong, and the opponent does safe swap into a Lantern, and finally we're seeing an opponent swap out of a bad matchup, or typically bad matchup, and we can go for the Energy Ball. It does big damage to the Lantern. We swap into Charjabug, and I'm hoping I can get the Volt Switch farm down before they make it to the next move, but they live with 1 HP. That's really frustrating. I will live the Surf, so I'm going to let it go through anyways, but it is a bit annoying. Now the opponent is going to come back in with the Dewgong. We can go for 2 Volt Switches and go for the X-Scissor. I think we have 100 energy, but we're not going to make it to 3 charge moves here. We go for the next X-Scissor as they do get that final Ice Shard through, which does take me out, and I know they're 1 away from the Icy Wind, but we're going to come in with the Vikavolt and we will shield this up. Vikavolt, very classy, like I've said many times throughout the battles. They then swap into Medicham. I'm going to clear the debuff and come in with my Galvantula. We go for a Cross Poison here before they make it to a charge move, and that does get the boost, and at this point I'm happy to let this go through. Either they Ice Punch bait me, we make it to another Cross Poison, or they go for the Psychic, and now at this point we're going to shield this up. I will be able to overfarm massively. They actually have Dynamic Punch and Psychic, and that allows me to get a full Volt Switch farm down, come out with 2 Discharges loaded, and this will easily be enough to take out the Dewgong there. The opponent lets it go through, knowing their only win con was if I baited, and I did not bait. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.